I track the exact month when saving stops feeling slow and starts snowballing. Most people miss it by 3 months. You'll see that line in real numbers today. By the end, you'll know the moment your money starts earning more than you do, and how to hit that moment sooner than you think. I'll prove it with Harry. He works phones for a logistics company, brings home $3,147 monthly, and started at -59 with 2 small subscriptions waiting to bite. If that sounds close to your life, you're in the right place. Let's be honest about why most people quit. Early money feels like sand. You move 37 here, 41 there, and the total barely moves. The Federal Reserve's latest household survey says just over half of families even have retirement accounts at all. That's not a lecture, that's a mirror. When the early months feel pointless, people stop before compounding ever wakes up. George Clason wrote The Richest Man in Babylon almost a century ago. The language is old, but the engine is modern. Pay yourself first, even when it's awkward. Harry didn't believe that line until the end of month 1, when he could actually see one odd number build on another. He didn't chase a perfect app. He built a simple rail. The rail mattered more than the app. Here's what Harry did, and you can copy this tonight. He opened a plain index fund account that lets him own tiny pieces of thousands of companies at once. Think of it like a streaming pass for the whole market. One click gets everything. He set a weekly deposit for $39 on Wednesday night at 10:12 p.m. because his paycheck clears by Wednesday afternoon, and that timing never fights rent. Odd? Exactly. Vague plans die. Specific plans happen. Month 1 ended at 162 saved and invested. It looked like nothing. He felt dumb. He almost canceled. Month 2 added 167 more. Still small. But something changed in month 3. His fund paid a few dollars of dividends. That tiny number hit his brain different. He didn't earn it with a shift. It landed while he slept. Morgan Housel wrote The Psychology of Money a few years ago. He keeps showing the same pattern in different stories. Time and behavior beat brilliance. You don't need to be right every week. You need to still be here every month. Harry taped that idea inside his closet door. Stay here long enough for compounding to notice you. Let me give you the path. Then I'll show you the line where money starts working harder than you. Harry built a 2-part system. Part 1 was the weekly 39. Part 2 was a monthly top-up on the first Friday evening that he called the sweep. He looked for leftovers after bills and groceries and moved an odd number, never the same twice. 53 one month, 27 the next. His only rule was this: the sweep must be smaller than it feels. He wanted to win by default, not by willpower. By the end of month 3, his deposits totaled $519. His account value was $531. That difference was tiny, but it was not zero. He circled it in green. He was no longer alone. Month 4 brought a setback. His phone battery swelled. $129 to replace at a kiosk. He refused to touch the fund. He sold an old monitor for $43 and cut one subscription for $9 per month. Painful? Sure. Useful? More than he guessed. Here's the question you're really asking. When does this thing stop feeling like slow punishment and start acting like a partner? The answer is a point I call the crossover month. It's the first 12-month window where your growth beats your deposits. Not a day. Not a lucky week. A full rolling year where the math works for you, not against you. Stay with me because the best part lands in a minute. You'll see the exact math and the date it flipped for Harry. First, 2 guardrails to make sure you get there. 1. Small amounts win as long as they happen on schedule. 2. The market's noise doesn't matter if your next deposit shows up either way. That's how behavior beats prediction. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says housing eats the biggest slice of the average budget, and transportation often comes next. Harry couldn't outsmart those 2 in 1 month, so he aimed lower. He cut the third-tier leaks, takeout lunches, odd app renewals, delivery fees on silly items. Not forever, just until the rail felt automatic. If your rail isn't automatic yet, do this first. Pick a small weekly amount and a smaller monthly sweep. Make them almost boring. Boring pays. Month 5 surprised him. His total deposits crossed $800. Market gains and dividends added more than the monthly sweep. He didn't cheer. He nodded. He could feel a new identity forming. He was the person who leaves the deposits alone. Now, the part you've been waiting for. Around the 70% point of this video is where the line appears for most people. Harry crossed his crossover month at the end of month 8. In the prior 12 months, he had deposited 1,193. His account had grown by 1,311. Growth beat deposits for a full year. That's the moment money starts working harder than you do. Why does that flip matter? 3 layers: a book layer, a data layer, and a human layer. The book layer comes from J.L. Collins in The Simple Path to Wealth. He hammers the idea that a broad index fund and patience beat frantic picking. Not because it's exciting, but because fees are low and time multiplies quiet gains. The data layer shows up in long-term 401k records tracked by plan researchers. The people who keep contributing, even small amounts, end with balances far bigger than the rest. Consistency is the hidden engine. The human layer is Harry's page. Once he saw a 12-month window where growth exceeded deposits, he no longer argued with himself about the next transfer. The money had become a partner. That's the mental unlock. If you've never seen that window, it can feel imaginary, so let's make it concrete. Take a sheet of paper, draw 12 boxes. Label them backward from month 12 to month 1. Every month, write 2 numbers. First box: how much you deposited in the last 12 months. Second box: how much the account grew in the last 12 months, including dividends. The first time the second number is larger than the first, you've crossed the line. That grid turns a vague dream into a score you can actually win. Harry kept the grid on his fridge. He used odd numbers on purpose. 39 weekly. Sweeps like 27 or 53. Those made his brain trust the page. Round numbers feel like wishes. Odd numbers feel like facts. By month 9, his total deposit sat at 1,351. The account showed 1,917. A laptop emergency appeared at week 40. 537 to replace. He refused to sell shares. He listed 3 unused items online and got 192 by Sunday. He stretched the old computer for 2 more weeks, then bought a refurbished model for 343. The fund stayed untouched. You might think this is about amounts. It isn't. It's about speed to identity. The faster you experience that first 12-month window, where growth beats deposits, the sooner your decisions get easier. That's the real dividend. Less arguing, more repeating. Harry didn't increase the weekly 39 for 4 straight months. He didn't need to. He just kept the rail alive and let small payments stack. Let's talk about fear quickly. Maybe you're thinking, what if the market drops right when I start? 2 answers. First, your weekly amount keeps buying more shares when prices fall. That is a gift disguised as noise. Second, we're measuring windows, not single days. If your rail keeps moving, a single bad month becomes 1 box in a 12-box grid, not a verdict on your future. There's another pain point we have to name. Half of adults say they don't have 3 months of expenses saved. If that's you, you might need a split phase. Harry did a split for his first 2 months. He kept 100 in a plain savings buffer while still sending the 39 weekly into the index fund. He wanted the investing habit to exist from day 1, even if it was tiny. That way, he never had to rebuild it later. If you're starting with near zero, copy that split. Small buffer, tiny investing rail. Grow both slowly, identity first, amounts later. As his confidence grew, Harry added a second weekly rail on Sunday mornings. $19. He picked Sunday because weekends used to be his spend days. He wanted a healthy interruption. 2 rails, different days, tiny amounts. Wednesday night at 10:12, Sunday morning at 9:06. By the end of month 12, his deposits totaled $2,007. The account showed $3,149. That gap was the proof he needed. Money worked when he didn't. If you're wondering about funds and jargon, keep it simple. An index fund is just a basket that holds tiny pieces of many companies. You don't need to pick winners. You buy the basket at low cost and keep buying on schedule. Fees matter. Every dollar that doesn't go to fees stays with you and compounds. That's why boring funds are powerful. They quietly keep more of your money working. I'm going to give you Harry's exact starter plan, and then your first 24 hours of moves. Starter plan. Pick 1 broad index fund inside any reputable brokerage. Turn on a weekly auto deposit for an odd number you barely notice. Add a small First Friday sweep that is smaller than your ego wants. Make a 12-box grid and post it where you'll see it. Refuse to touch the fund for emergencies. Solve emergencies by selling unused stuff and cutting third-tier leaks for a few weeks. When your first dividends appear, reinvest them automatically. When your first 12-month window shows growth-beating deposits, don't celebrate by taking a break. Celebrate by leaving it alone. Your first 24 hours look like this. Tonight, write the odd weekly number on a sticky note and place it on your debit card. Tomorrow, open the account, search for the broad index, and set the weekly deposit at that exact number for the first Wednesday night slot that fits your pay cycle. Then set a tiny first Friday sweep. After dinner, draw the 12 boxes and leave the first 11 blank. Only fill in month 1 after it happens. You're building a score you can win with boredom. One more thing about odds and ends. Harry's coworkers like to talk about hot tips. He stopped joining those chats. He started asking a different question. What can I do this week that my future self won't have to undo? That question saved him from pausing the rail during a noisy week, and from chasing dividend dates like lottery tickets. He wasn't trying to beat the market. He was trying to outlast his old habits. By month 15, his 12-month window showed deposits of 2,184 and growth of 2,411. He smiled once, then went back to living. The rail handled the rest. He didn't change funds. He didn't chase sectors. He didn't time earnings. He cooked twice a week, biked more, and let boring math stack small wins. If you've watched this far, here's the payoff I promised. The moment money really starts growing on its own is when your measured 12-month growth is bigger than your 12-month deposits. That's your crossover. The fastest path there is not a higher income or a perfect pick. It's reducing friction, picking odd numbers that feel real, setting rails that never argue with rent, and surviving long enough for time to notice you. After that, the game gets easier, not because the market changes, but because you do. Tonight, pick your odd weekly amount. Set the first Friday sweep. Draw the grid. In a few months, when that first tiny dividend lands while you sleep, you'll feel the shift Harry felt. Recognition, then relief, then quiet confidence. And months later, when your second number beats your first for a full year, smile and leave it alone. That's when the money is working. That's when the calendar is doing the heavy lifting. That's when it finally feels like it's growing by itself.